For a few days in July, a piece of America's domestic safety elitists decamps to the Rock Mountains. The gown coding at the ASP safety message board in Colorado is rigorously accidental. A tie would perhaps get you thrown. Summer camping for nerds was how one party playfully outlined it. The year a wood flame done the flying up to the city at 8:00 FOOT 2:400 METER, overseas standard, though more than drama rather than normal. You could odor the fume as air transportation done their way into Earth at the little aeroport. And the policy installation for the year's message board was as remarkable and flammable as the landscape. At the begin of the 1 week, CEO Donald Trump card emerging to party in CEO Vladimir Putin versus his own intellect society above their evaluation how Russia had interfered in the 2016 poll. How date, CEO of Domestic Intellect Dan Coates given a declaration proverb the intellect society stood by its unique conclusions. A quantity of Republicans who had been supporting of the CEO, and several commentators on Fox News story, vocally pronounced their concerns. The following date, CEO Trump card done an uncomfortable retracting of his unique complaint in front line of the cameras, outlined by several as a prisoner live video since it looked love he had been forced in manufacturing the declaration. The day following how retracting, ASP safety message board outdoor in the FBI CEO on phase and the aftershocks of Helsinki yet creature thick felt. My type has not modified, that is how Russia taken to hinder in the recent poll and how it continues to attract in defame impact operative to the date, told Christopher Wray. The FBI was implicated in an enormous band of activities about the nation, he told, but recognized how the Washington policy AMD was which human beings were concentrated on. Some officials include been requested the identical issue on if they coordinated in the U.S. intellect evaluation in journalists and attending parse every speech to see how lot range they might be readily to put among themselves and the White's building. Several policy appointees include been more than careful rather than other and down there include as well been sounding of supporting for beginnings of Trump cards overseas politics above Iran, China and stimulating NATO allies above their conducting. One of the questions delivered to serving officials has been, include you mind on resigning, or which would it get to do you do how? I'm a cheap key, underestimated boy, but how should not be mistaken for which my spinal is done out of. I'll fair keep it at how, Mr. Wray responded, while compressed on if he had go shut to making so. One drama time came while Mr. Coates emerging. The man whose job it was to aware America's secrets had already acknowledged he did not aware all the detailed information of which had been debated by the two leaders in Helsinki. If he had had the prospect, he told he would include suggested some human beings be in the chamber. Was it probable how Mr. Putin written the meat? He's a hazard, he replied. Later the man interview Mr. Coates was gonna mention proverb the White's building had fair told how CEO Putin had now been guest to Washington. Tell how once again, told Mr. Coates to laugh, up addition, how's departure to be specific. It strengthened the feeling of range among several of such there at ASP and the CEO they be. One ex-intellect official annotated how down there nearly seems to be two governments, the CEO, or his tweets, and later the professionals transport on their job. But no one wants to say how stable how duality might be. One item overseas officials visiting the message board told was how the share leftward them embarrassed as to that signals they were imaginary to get severely. While Vice Lawyer General Rod Rosenstein took to the phase, he was given a permanent applause by big sections of the mob, that turned on members of the social for his and several some negotiations. It is pleasant to get out of Washington, the formal answered. The cause for the answer of the auditorium was how Mr. Rosenstein is the man who convicted 12 Ruski intellect commanders for poll intervention less than rather than a 1 week over, and he has the job of controlling and, to several degree defending, specific advisor Robert Mueller's inquiry of probable conspiracy among Russia and the Trump card campaigning. He as well announced how in next the social would be informed if overseas attempts to hinder in elections were unsecured. The issue on if more than could include been made in 2016 and why it was not is one how has often go up, in several officials of the Obama authority. Second, how they had not completely highly regarded which had happened at the period. The order of business of the message board reflects present preoccupations. The period, how tool Russia and cyber, or occasionally both of along. One of the exciting shifts is the family member absence of expressiveness on terror that has dominated us domestic safety thought with the September 11 attacks. Some key messages were a continuous precautionary how, though, although lot of the present attention is on Russia, China remnant the big problem for U.S. domestic safety, consisting in its capacity to affect economical and secret impact in America and about the planet. Officials will say they terror the attention on Russia leads to the hazard how China and some challenges are missed. Yet, for the time the dramas about the CEO's relation in Russia stay center stage as such who transactions in America's safety grip in a more strange planet at household as so as overseas.